Welcome to the 1357 podcast. My name is Morgan Young, and I am so grateful you are tuning in. I'm so excited. This is our launch, our very first podcast together, and I can't wait to start this journey with you and to share all of my tips and my friends and different creators that I've gotten to know and love, and share all of their expertise with you as well. So this is going to be such a fun journey. A little bit about the 1357 podcast. I was a cheerleader for 20 years, and in cheerleading during the pyramid, we would all chant 1, 3, 5, 7. We'd count those odd numbers of the 8 count as a way for all of us to stay in sync and stay motivated and inspired through the rest of the pyramid. And that's what I want to do with you guys, help you all stay inspired, in sync, motivated, in sync with your best version of yourself too. And hopefully, help you along the way to get there. So thank you so much for tuning in. This is going to be so much fun. About the structure of 1357, the 1 stands for one miracle moment that my guests will share, but today I'm going to share my miracle moment. We go through 3 questions that typically my guest will bring to the table, and I will ask them those 3 questions. But again, today you get me and my 3 questions, 5 tips from our guest, and then we have a 7-minute chit chat. And that's what the whole structure is going to be about. And typically episodes are going to be around 40 minutes. And it's so much fun. I love the structure because with structure, you can flow. So today, since we are launching this podcast together, we're going to pop a bottle of champagne. So here we go. I have some Chandon Brut Rosé. And this is just a one-time poppin' champs as a way to celebrate the first episode on this podcast. So while I pop this bottle of champagne, I'm going to go ahead and start telling you all the miracle moment of my life so far. This is the big one. And the coolest part about this miracle moment is I survived it for like 6 months, not just a one moment thing. I went on a 6-month road trip around the United States when I was, how old was I? 22? Crazy stuff. So it was awesome. While I was on that experience, I had a minivan, a Honda Odyssey 2019, pulling a 20-foot travel trailer. And it was a Jayco J-Flight travel trailer. Worked wonders. Hold on, ready? This champagne is going to be harder to open. Oh, man. I thought it was going to be a nice, easy one. We need the cage. All right. Cage is on. Come on, pop for me. Pop for me. Oh, man. I'm going to need to take my rings off. We're going to have to really pop this champagne. Okay, I'm going to keep talking and keep trying at the same time. So on this road trip, I had my ex-boyfriend Wolf with me. Shout out to Wolf, homie, forever and always. And we were sending it. We went June of 2019. We left Jacksonville, Florida, went all the way up to Michigan, across the northern states, through the Dakotas, through Wisconsin, through, where all did we go? I mean, we stopped every way across that top, all the way to Wyoming, Montana, Big Sky, Montana. It was so stunning, the whole experience. We went down to Burning Man, and then over to California. We went up the 5 and then down the Pacific Coast Highway. We went all the way up to Oregon and Washington and then down and then back through the southern route all the way back to Jacksonville. Absolutely incredible. I don't know if I'm meant to have champagne today. This is, of course, the day that I do this podcast alone. Ooh. Yep, nope. I don't know if I can pop the champagne. It's crazy. Okay, I'm going to keep trying and keep talking. So, this is going to be a how to pop champagne episode. So with the road trip, one of the craziest stories that is the miracle moment of all miracle moments was the time that we got a flat tire after leaving Mount Rushmore. So leaving Mount Rushmore to get to the next state over, there was I don't know why the GPS took us this way, but there was it was an 80-mile gravel road. And we're 40 miles deep into it, which is about 2 hours into this gravel road, travel trailer, minivan on a gravel road, not always the best. But we're, huffing along, going about 45 miles per hour on this gravel road. And you guys, we're getting somewhere with this champagne, I promise. Okay. Not like you guys are going to drink it, but I'm really working hard for this champagne. Okay. So we're 40 miles in on this gravel road, and I get the tire pressure low warning. And then literally it dropped from 40 PSI to 30 to 20 to 15 to 10. Woo! And I got a flat tire in the middle of nowhere. Oh my gosh, it was like a Jack in the Box. You guys are probably startled. Sunny, are you startled too? But we're celebrating my first episode. Sunny, it's okay. Sunny is my Chihuahua. He's 2 years old, and he's the light of my life. He wants to join the podcast. Come on up, Sunny. This is Sunny. If you're watching on video, he's the most handsome boy of all time. Love him forever. Yes, say hi, Sunny. He's going to be a consistent guest on this podcast. He'll come sit in my lap for as long as he wants to. So let's pour some champagne. Try not to get any on Sunny buns, and then I'll keep telling you about my flat tire experience. Ooh, yeah. Bubbles. We love bubbles. So I get this flat tire, and Wolf starts freaking out. He immediately jumps out of the minivan and starts walking up this gravel road around the corner. I don't see him anymore. I start looking for the spare tire. I lift up my hood of my car and I make a big sign on I had a big whiteboard in the car, and I was like, flat tire, please help. But we hadn't seen a car in 2 hours. And so within a few minutes, it was literally like 15 minutes, this truck comes driving back our way, back to the car, and then Wolf jumps out of the car, out of the truck, and this couple hop out as well, and they're like, hey, so we own a hotel about 2 hours back the way you came, back to the nearest city. We'll put you up overnight at the hotel, and then tomorrow we'll go get your flat tire, we'll go get it fixed, and we'll bring it back, and you guys will be on your way. Amazing. So, and then Wolf and I, we had been seeing repetitive numbers, especially 333. If you're into numerology, you start to see repetitive numbers consistently. So we get to the hotel and our room number is 333. It was so cool. And it was just all these different signs from God that we're perfectly in place and we're well taken care of. Okay, cheers. I'm going to have my first sip of champagne to celebrate first episode. Good stuff. Oh, that's just hitting. It hits a little different when you have to work so hard for it. Thank you. Thank you, champagne. Chandel. Yes. So we get to our room, have a great night. We go get a free dinner. I don't know how it was free, but we had a free buffet dinner that night. They were about to close and they just hooked it up. And then the next morning, the couple who was helping us out, they bring some brisket. Apparently he's like the number one brisket cooker in the county, and we get our brisket, and then he drives me. Wolf stays back at the hotel to get some work done, and I drive with this strange man. Not the smartest idea. 2 hours to go get the tire from my car. 4 hours to go get it replaced. We go get lunch. We go get the tire back from the tire place, or get the tire. And then we drive 4 hours back to my car to put it on. It was crazy. And the whole time, this strange man is saying strange and inappropriate things to me. So I'm thinking at any point in time, I could easily be taken advantage of, if you know what I mean. And it was very scary. Yes, he was I feel like he was on the edge of, I really want to be a good guy and help these people out, But this is a situation that he may not ever run into again, being in the car in the middle of nowhere with me, a pretty little, innocent woman. And he could have easily taken advantage of that situation. But thank God he did not. And I made it out alive. And that is my miracle moment. It was absolutely crazy. And the coolest part was, so this was in my peak spiritual moment, spiritual time of life. Like, I'm finding myself. I just started my spiritual journey, my oneness with the universe. And now, if you know me now, you know that I'm more of a Jesus girl and less of a universe girl. But we're going to talk about that in my 7-minute chit chat about my journey with spirituality. But for now, at that point in time, I was very universe girl. And so I just knew that when I saw that flat tire sign, I was excited. I was like, let's see what you do for me, universe, because you are always showing up. And I trust you more than anything. So let's see what happens. I'm sure something amazing is going to happen. And with that faith, that is how I believe all those miracles had manifested. And it was just so cool to experience that and see it all come into fruition. And I survived. We made it through the whole entire road trip. And somehow we had the money to do so. And I'm just so grateful. It was the most incredible experience. If you ever get the chance to take a road trip like that, whether it's a 2-week, a month, 6 months, a year, take it. It's so worth it. It will test your relationships for sure. You'll see if you're really meant to be with that person or not, but I highly recommend it. All right, let's move on. 3 questions. What all do I do for a living and with life? Because I do a lot of things, and let's see if I even remember all the things that I do. First thing I do, I'm a life coach. And what does that look like? That looks like me helping, more often than not, high performers are who I typically work with, and I help them with their goals, with their habits, and with their identity. And then we work a little bit through manifestation, some boundaries in there as well, but that's my passion. I love helping people of all ages, all types, coming into a more structured sense of how are they going to get to their goals? How are they going to create a well-rounded life from family, friends, finances, career, spirituality, personal development, health, and recreation? So those are like the 9 aspects of life, and we try to create goals for each of those aspects of life. We have 10-year goals all the way down to daily goals, and we work backwards on all of our habits, our time wasters. How can we make the most use of every single minute of the day to where you're feeling fulfilled, energized, and you're on track with where you desire to be in your life? So that's what I do with life coaching. I do some public speaking, typically around the topic of happiness. I love to talk about that. And I do yoga teaching. I teach at Crunch Fitness, but I also teach private yoga. I have multiple clients I work with. I host a monthly happy hour to bring the community together. My grandma has hosted her happy hour group for 15 years, and I'm going on 2 years this month, 2 years this month with the Happy Hour Society. So excited about that. And what else do I do? Now I do this podcast. Yeah. Oh, and I do freelance marketing as well. I can't forget that one. I have a couple of clients in San Diego who are amazing, and I do their online courses, their workbooks, some logos. I have made 3D book covers, a whole bunch of stuff for freelance marketing. I've done video editing for them. I went to school for journalism to be a news anchor and quickly realized I wanted nothing to do with the news. So here we are. All of those things combined. So question number 2, why do I do so much? Pause. Champagne sip. It hits so good. Why do I do so much? Because I can't sit still. I have ADHD and I need a lot of variety. And if I'm focused on one thing all the time, I get very antsy and I want to add something else. And also, all of those things kind of work together. The happy hours bring people into my yoga circle. The yoga circle brings people into my life coaching. I just love the marketing side of things. So if I'm ever having a day of chill, then I will sit in bed and create marketing materials for hours. And I love to do that. And in this podcast, I wanted a way to create more content to reach out to more people and also motivate everyone along the way. So you guys know the reason I'm doing this podcast, to keep everyone connected, motivated, and inspired. And this also is just a great way for me to stay, in the loop with everyone in my community. So it's just another way for me to connect with everybody, and I love it so much. And then, so that didn't really answer the why, but why do I do so much? It did answer it, but I'm going to add. I do it because I can't stop, and I love to do it. This is the stuff that fills up my cup so much. And also, every single day when I wake up, yes, I have my to-do list of what needs to get done, but also I get to kind of pick and choose, like, where does my heart want to go right now? Do I feel like I want to spend time focused on my podcast today? Do I feel like I want to spend time focused on my life coaching materials? Do I feel like I want to spend time doing the marketing? Like, I kind of get to pick and choose what my day looks like based on how I'm feeling that day, for the most part. I mean, of course, I have my structured and scheduled clients, but around that time, I get to be like, okay, I want to dabble in this and I want to dabble in that. And that freedom for me is everything. That's what gets me working and motivated and productive. So it's just having the freedom of option and choice. Love that. Question number 3, how do I stay so positive? So, champagne sip, please hold. Yes. How do I stay so positive? Multiple things. First, I would say I have always been a very positive, bubbly person ever since I was a baby. I'm one of those happy-go-lucky people. I'm an only child, and so I'm so grateful for my upbringing. My parents did get divorced when I was 2, but the way that they raised me, both of them really, really wanted a baby. And I was a very planned baby, and they poured their love onto me. They both almost fought to hang out with me more and have more time with me. And that love, that unconditional love from my parents, I really do think that's such an important aspect of who I am today and why I am so happy. So I'm so grateful for my parents for that. Also, my relationship with God, with Jesus, that's a huge, huge proponent into why I have so much peace and joy and happiness. Everything is perspective. And with that perspective and with what we can learn about the earth that we live in, the structures, the laws of the universe, all of that really puts things into perspective and helps you see, 1, just how small we really are. 2, we don't have much time here, so we might as well spend our time making the best use of our energy and being the happiest that we can be. There's not much use in us being angry or dwelling on negative emotions or fighting with people or judging others. There's just not enough time for that in my world. I'm a very playful person. I see myself as very playful and energetic, and that keeps me young. And I'm so grateful that I have created a life where I get to be so positive, and the people in my life, they don't smush my light, they help me shine brighter. So surrounding yourself with people who also see your light and want you to shine the brightest that you can shine, that's so important. And I'm so grateful for the many people who are closest to me that, pour gasoline on my fire and help me shine the brightest I can be. So thank you. Shout out to you guys. I love you so, so much. And I couldn't do this without you. We all need community. We all need people in our lives who are going to push us to be the best. And so that kind of flows right into my first tip. So let's go into our 5 tips. Tip number 1, have a mud buddy. And I did talk about this on the Fun or Nothing podcast with Rebecca White, my best friend, my roommate. She lives in this house with me. This is her set, our set. We share it together. So shout out to Becca. If you guys haven't seen the Fun or Nothing podcast yet, I highly recommend going over and taking a look at it. She's amazing and she's my inspiration for this podcast. So mud buddy. Having a mud buddy. So you may have heard the term or the saying, no mud, no lotus. There's a whole book about it. And lotus, like the lotus flower. And that's, a big symbol in yoga. And the lotus grows through the mud to get to its most beautiful, lotus form on top of the mud or on top of the water. And that's what we have to do. We are the lotus flower underneath the mud sometimes when we're in a struggle situation and life feels really, really challenging. It's sticky. You feel stuck. You feel depressed. It's dark. And there's a lack of clarity. And so what a mud buddy does is they help you sift through the mud, almost like sticking your hand in the mud and pulling you up to your lotus position. So a mud buddy helps go with you into the darkness, find that clarity, or maybe pour water on your mud and help you get that clarity so that you can pop through the surface and feel the bliss, the learning, the outcome of the lotus. The lotus flower brings so much wisdom, and that wisdom only comes from the trials and tribulations of the depths of the mud. So trusting that when you're in the mud, that's that cultivation, that brumination of learning, of opportunity, and seeing the mud as an opportunity every single time. Like every trigger is an opportunity for you to learn and level up in your awareness. So it's really a magical thing having a friend who you can rely on. Becca is my number 1 mud buddy. I go to her and she helps me come to the other side of my sticky situations in life. Shout out to Becca. And then tip number 2, space, love, advice. This is something that Wolf and I created on the road trip. And I'm so grateful for space, love, and advice because he would come to me or I would come to him with something that we want to vent about. And when you vent, most of the time, especially I'll speak from my experience, as a woman, when we vent, we most of the time just need to get it all out and sort through it ourselves. So I need someone to hold space for me. And that space looks like you just being there, keep your mouth shut, maybe ask me a couple questions to help me get deeper into unraveling my own thoughts. And then the man, most of the time, would start giving me advice when all I really needed in that moment was space to be heard and to unravel those thoughts. Or sometimes my emotions were too heavy that I couldn't even get to the point where I needed space and I needed a hug. I needed love. So we came up with the love. Hug, 5 deep breaths. That will help calm me down to where I can feel my thoughts again. I can start to work through the mud a little bit more on my own. And then if I need advice, I'll ask for it. But most of the time, people just give their 2 cents without even hearing what the other person is trying to vent about. And that doesn't help that person grow. We need to have trust within ourselves. And also, as the person who, let me back up. If someone comes to you with something to vent about, that's a privilege. That means they trust you to be that person in their lives. And from there, if you just start giving them advice, you're not allowing them to build trust within themselves that they can handle their own problems. So being there and offering up space to this person to work through their own problems, they're going to think you're the best thing in the world for keeping your mouth shut, because they're like, wow, all I did was ramble on, and just being in your presence, I was able to come to my own conclusion. You're amazing. And then you're the hero, and you didn't even have to pull any advice out of your ass. What a miracle. So that's space lover advice. Tip number 3, finding the next best emotion. When we are in a time of stress or struggle, a lot of the time you can't even get a grip on what's the next move to make, or how do I stop crying right now, or how do I keep myself from going and punching that chick in the face because I'm so angry. What do you do when you're in that heightened, triggered state? So in those triggered moments, finding the next best emotion. What is that next best emotion? Is it anger? Is it releasing through getting it out? Maybe you go and scream into your pillow as a way to release that energy. Or maybe you pull out a journal and start scribbling or writing F, U, C, K. I have done that many times, not gonna lie. So literally scrabbling out the F word helps me channel my anger and emotions sometimes in a way that gets me to my next best emotion. And then with that next best emotion, what's the next best emotion after that? Okay, so maybe it's taking a deep breath and feeling sadness. Maybe it went from anger to, okay, I'm really feeling pain right now, and I feel hurt, and the child within me, in my heart, feels non-validated or disrespected. Or maybe I just feel worthless because that's what my father put on me to feel whenever I didn't ever do something that was good enough. So listening to, okay, what is the emotion I'm feeling? And then what is one emotion, like how could I feel just the slightest bit better? And then maybe it's just you wake up one day and you're feeling stuck, or you feel paralysis by analysis, you're overthinking. Go make a cup of coffee. Go do one thing that makes you feel good. Take a lap around the neighborhood outside. Go do something that brings you joy, or switch it up. I will put on Legally Blonde the musical and start jamming out. You guys don't even know how obsessed I am with Legally Blonde the musical. It's kind of unhealthy. I know every word to every song in the whole musical, and I can act most of it out. It's kind of crazy. But that's what I put on. That's my fun or nothing. That's what I do to raise my energetic vibration and get me out of any type of funk to where I can start taking action again from an aligned place. Focusing on God, spirituality, religion, praying, meditating, yoga, all of those things are also ways to get to that next best feeling and emotion. Tip number 4, talk to yourself as if you're talking to your 5-year-old, 3-year-old self. How would you want someone to talk to the baby version of you? Would you want them to talk to your baby you like you talk to you? Are you constantly telling yourself that you're lazy, or you're not doing good enough, or oh my gosh, how did you not get that stuff done that you said you were going to do? Oh my gosh, you haven't been to the gym in 2 weeks, or you haven't been to the gym in 6 months, and you're feeling fat, and you start calling yourself names or calling yourself ugly. Would you say that to your 5-year-old self? It absolutely breaks my heart to think that you are talking to yourself that way. I'm tearing up just thinking about someone talking to you, my dear friend, in a way that would harm you or hurt you or bring you down or belittle you. That breaks my heart. Please, I'm begging you, don't talk to yourself in a negative way. It hurts me, and it hurts you. So how do you reduce that? How do you stop talking to yourself poorly? And it starts with awareness. Every time you tell yourself you're disorganized, every time you tell yourself you're lazy, every time you tell yourself that you're not enough or you're worthless or you're alone. No, you are not alone. You are not worthless. You are a child of God. You are divine. You are all that is in and of this beautiful vessel of a body. You have breath in your lungs, and that breath is the breath of the Holy Spirit. And that breath is the breath of life, of everything in this entire universe. That breath is energy. It may not smell that good in the morning, but it's still Yahweh. It's still the Holy Divine Spirit within you, living and breathing. And you have so much opportunity to create in this world and to bring something joy to other people. And that's something to live for. And so I would beg you, please don't ever talk to yourself in a negative way ever again, because it's heartbreaking. Don't talk to yourself. Talk to yourself like you would to your 3-year-old self, and that is with love and love only. Tip number 5, the breath is everything. The breath is healing. It pulls you back into the present moment, because we don't have last minute. We don't have next minute. We have this very second. So take a deep breath right now with me. Let's take a big breath in through the nose. Hold at the top. Exhale through the mouth. 2 more times. Take a deep breath in through the nose. You can close the eyes, put your hand on your heart. Exhale through the mouth. 1 more just like that. Inhale in the nose. Exhale out the mouth. And just notice how you feel right now. Do you feel just a little bit more peace? A little more stillness? That is the power of the breath. Peace, stillness, tranquility, bliss. And doing breath work, that will lead you to self-awareness and healing trauma. And there's so many benefits to breath work. I just got too many tabs open of too many benefits, and I got overwhelmed. And there's so much that the breath is capable of, and we're not accessing it to its fullest potential. And it's free, you guys. The breath is free. It's free to take a deep breath whenever you need to. So highly recommend focusing more on the breath. If you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling stressed, even if you're feeling amazing, coming back to the breath a few times every day or starting out the day with breath work, highly recommend it. It'll change your life. So that's my tip number 5. All right, time for a 7-minute chit chat. So what I do for the 7-minute chit chat, I set an actual timer. So 7 minutes is on the clock. I have just posted my 7-minute timer on the clock, and let's chit chat. So I want to talk to you guys about the journey that I had with spirituality in the universe, and now how I am a born-again Christian. It's just very important in my life. And if you don't care about religion or Christianity or spirituality or any of that, then we're probably not going to jive, and that's okay. You don't have to watch this podcast. But if you're interested in my journey, I would love to share it with you. And so it started out, I was a Christian born and raised. It was like don't really have to go to church every Sunday because I went to a private Christian school, Providence. And I went there from when I was 2 until I was in 8th grade. And we had chapel every single week. We had Bible class every day. And so I was raised into like a knowing that this is the way, like this is the only way. And when I went to high school, I went to Atlantic Coast the first year they opened, excuse me. And at Atlantic Coast, it was an absolute melting pot shit show. Excuse me. The champagne bubbles kicking in. So Atlantic Coast was crazy, and I was there for a year and a half until I got suspended, and then rumors flew, and then I was homeschooled for half a year, and then I went to Nice High School and graduated from Nice. Fantastic school. So that's a story for another time. We'll get there maybe next month of my whole story with high school and drama. Goodbye, Sunny. Say goodbye to Sunny. Okay. So spirituality. So after high school and into college, I did some self-study through, honestly, and I'm going to be super transparent. So sorry, Grandma, if you're seeing this, but I was in a relationship at the time where I really trusted this person, and he convinced me to try a drug. And I don't recommend this unless it's like really, really on your heart to try this. But DMT, dimethyltryptamine, it's, very illegal, but it's a drug that opens up your pineal gland. Sunny wants to come back. Sunny's back. This drug opens up your pineal gland, and it makes you, it's only like 5 minutes is how long this whole thing lasts. And it really just opened my eyes up to me, it taught me what the universe is made of. It showed me that I am energy, I am light, and from there, I felt like I just got this massive awakening, like, oh wow, like the first thing I realized was like, oh, I'm a sunflower. How hippie is that? I'm a sunflower. Oh, I'm not just a sunflower, I'm also the soil. Okay, I'm not just the soil, I'm also the water that waters the soil. I'm not just the water, I'm also the sun. I am energy. Oh my gosh, energy. What is energy? Energy is molecules and atoms. And oh my gosh, these molecules and atoms make up everything that is in existence. It makes up my whole entire body. So we're all one energy. We are one. That blew my mind. And then I was like, okay, there's more to this oneness and enlightenment than I understood before. So I did a deep dive into spirituality, enlightenment, and wanted to learn about all the religions. And so I did. And I said, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. I didn't identify with any religions for about 8 years. And that really worked for me. But I was being the god of my own universe. And through that whole time, I'm struggling with finances. I'm broke. I'm making it work. I'm taking steps. I'm doing things that bring me joy, but I did a lot of things out of fear instead of faith. And that's all okay. That's part of my journey. And I really trust that. How are we? 2 minutes and 35 seconds left. Oh my gosh, 7 minutes flies. Okay, so from there, I learned a whole lot. And I'm able to really understand people who are going through a spiritual journey. And I can speak the language of that and many religions as well, which I think is such a superpower. It's such a gift. But last year, I went to 1122 with my dad as a way for my dad and I to grow a deeper bond. And that first sermon I went to, because I grew up in 1122, the first sermon back, I don't even know what they talked about, but I remember bawling my eyes out and feeling the most peace I had felt. And I was like, oh, wow, Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. And nobody can get to heaven unless it's through him. And what is heaven? It's, in the Bible, it says it's, the streets of gold and the big gates, the pearly gates. But I believe that it's heaven on earth as well in the meantime. And the more time you spend abiding with God, residing with God within you, and focusing on that relationship with him, the better your life is going to be. He gave you like this handbook for life called the gospel. And he's the one who created this whole universe to begin with. So I might as well take his advice on how to live in his world. If that's the manual, I kind of want to play by that playbook and see how it goes. And that's where I found also the most ultimate love that I could ever feel. So I'm so grateful for the bliss and the love that I've gotten from my relationship with Jesus Christ and with God. And I really do want to bring more people to him. That's a goal and a mission of mine, which is also why I have my miracle moment in here. I want to share how many miracles there are on a daily basis and highlight the glory of God. I'm so grateful. 23 seconds left. So with that, that's another big reason for why I started this podcast, is to glorify God. And I hope that you all resonate with that, even if you're not Christian or religious or spiritual or whatever, atheist. I don't care. I just want you to be inspired by how amazing God is. And that's all I could ever hope, is that you feel more love and enjoyment from this podcast. So I'm so grateful for you guys tuning in. We're out of our 7-minute chit chat window. So here's my outro. So grateful for you guys tuning in. Sunny and I are both grateful that you're here. This has been the 1357 podcast. And don't forget, comment. I would love to hear your thoughts, any questions, comments, ideas in the comments. Let me know. I would love to have a conversation with you guys. Also, like, subscribe, put on those notifications so that you can be notified every time I post one of these podcasts. So this first one today should be launching on August 1st, which is today. Yay. And after today's podcast, we'll be launching every single Monday around 7:00 p.m. And so be on the lookout. Follow us on Instagram at 1357 podcast. And then if you're a creator, an entrepreneur, an artist, someone who's creating something in this world and you want to share your story, I would love to have you on the podcast. So email me at 1357.pod@gmail.com and let me know that you want to be on the podcast, and I'd love to have you on. It can be virtual, it can be in my studio, whatever works best for you, we'll make it happen. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. This has been the 1357 podcast with Morgan Young and Sunny Bunches of Oats, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.